STORYHIVE on location in Lake Cowichan with Beats, Eats,
and more.
Heyo! We are broadcasting live right now from the unceded ancestral lands of the Sioux-Basset First Nations, the original stewards and protectors of these lands and these waters. We're actually on Lake Cowichan, so they are the people of the lake. And my special guest today, which is round 2 of our island shows, we have the one and only Josh, aka Mostly Yoshi, a lifelong boater, beat maker, sound techer, and sound selector, based here in Lake Cowichan, BC. Raised in a family-run fishing charter, Josh has spent decades piloting boats, deckhanding, wake surfing, and exploring BC's coastal waters. In 2023, he launched Pristine Paddleboard Adventures, at Gordon Bay, offering rentals, lessons, and glow-lit evening paddleboard tours. So cool. Off the water, he's a DJ and producer with a deep love for house, D&B, and minimal tech, and a familiar face in the West Coast festival scene. We out here kicking it on the lake, and I'm excited to explore the currents of his creative and entrepreneurial journey. Hey, yo.
Hey, what's up?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Excellent.
So, yeah, it's really cool to hear about how you had this upbringing, you know, on the water, touring with your family. Can you tell us more about like how you first started and how this love for nature and water first began for you?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on your show. When I was 5 years old, I moved down to Vancouver Island from northern Alberta. My parents had a big homestead up there, and we decided to move down to the island. It was just too cold up there, and we came down south. And years after we moved here, my parents started a charter company out of Cowichan Bay, and my father used to take people out fishing and crabbing and showing them the coastal waters around the Gulf Islands. And then as the years progressed, my father started getting into commercial fishing. So we've had a lot of boats in our lives. And I have lots of fond memories of us touring around the Gulf Islands and checking out new bays and porpoises in the water and lots of fishing. It was just really magical as a kid.
It's really cool to hear how you basically had like a merman kind of life upbringing, you know, being so close to the water and having so much of your life and your upbringing in the water.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really shaped who I am today. I'm an Aquarius, so I guess it's in my DNA. But it's really, the water is something that I have an intimate relationship with. I respect the water. It's very powerful. And you need to respect that power, and you've got to be safe on the water. And it's just an amazing place to grow up here on the coast, and just to be so close to the water and have this extra place to have on-water activities. It's everywhere here.
I'd love to start first, like talking more about your music background and like what kind of music did you grow up listening to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had a set of headphones on at age 5. I was listening to my parents' cassette tapes. Lots of classic rock. I think my first cassette tape was Michael Jackson Thriller.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Shout out.
And from there, you know, through my teenage years, I was into the grunge scene. Lots of great bands coming out of Seattle and the Pacific Northwest.
That's right.
Pearl Jam, Nirvana, bands like Stone Temple Pilots. I was really into the rock and alternative rock, classic rock. And then as I progressed into my middle school years and into high school, we really were into hip hop music here. And hip hop has been very dominant on the island growing up here, especially in the 90s and in the 2000s. There was quite a vibrant, and still is to this day, hip hop scene here on Vancouver Island. In about 1997, I started hanging out with a couple other homies that I met in high school, and we would go hang out at one of my friends' places after school, and he started teaching us how to write rhymes. Shout outs to Sethid, Shaps. So we used to have these hangouts after school. We would start writing rhymes, and then we would have a boom box with a microphone jacked into it.
Yes.
We would have beats on one tape, and then we would have it recording on deck B with the mic in. So we would have the beats playing, the mic recording, and we'd all one take over the track. So everybody would have to say their lyrics or rhyme their lyrics at one take, pass the mic to the next person. We were very, very primitive in our early days.
Yeah. But I bet you that taught you to have to like just get it in one take and like be on point.
Oh, definitely. And really, you know, making sure you've got tight rhymes and first and foremost. After a few years of doing that, we graduated and continued on with music. We threw our first hip hop show off of the back deck of my house in Duncan, BC.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, so we had, you know, half the school in our backyard, and the police showed up and they saw what was going on and they were totally cool with it. So we just kept going. And then we had another a homie down from California that came up, and he came up here and he was really, really skilled at making beats on a keyboard. So he would make beats on a keyboard, we would jack the cable in, record the beats on the cassette, and he would live mix and sequence the beat over that cassette in one take. Once the beat was done, okay, put it in deck A, record on deck B, and then we put out our first album in 1999 called Project Next, The Greenhouse Effect. And it's still on cassette till this day.
Okay, why is it called that?
Because the back room of our house faced southwest, and it was stinking hot in the summer. So when we'd be in this room, there would be 5 or 6 guys in this room blazing out, and it would just be really, really hot in there. So it was like a greenhouse.
Yes.
So it was like the greenhouse effect.
Okay.
And it just started going from there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Who were you guys influenced by? Like, I guess, you know, coming from out here and hip hop in the 90s, like, who were the first artists that you were hearing that you're like, whoa, I'm in love with this?
Oh, I mean, first artists were like Wu-Tang came out. It was seeing Method Man with his Tikal. When that came out, it just blew our minds. That was in middle school. I used to go back to my homie Jay Nielsen's place at lunchtime, and we would watch pre-recorded Rap City videos on VHS at lunchtime. And he'd be like, oh, have you seen this new joint? Have you checked this one out? And it was just like, whoa, like, what is this? These lyrics are sweet. And then as we explored more, it just became more of that West Coast vibe, listening to people all the way from Seattle down to LA. We had Sir Mix-a-Lot up in Seattle, then we're listening to Too Short and Eazy-E and Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, and then a lot of the more conscious rappers like Hieroglyphics, Third Eye Vision, and all those sorts of hip hop artists.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's really dope. How did you get your name, Mostly Yoshi?
Funny enough, so my name is Josh, and back in the day when Nintendo 64 came out,
I love that's my favorite console.
What were we playing on that? We were playing Mario Kart and all those favorite games. So I used to hang out at my buddy Jay Red's place after school. Whenever I'd knock on the door, what's up, Joshy? What's up, Joshi? What's up, Yoshi? And it just evolved into that at about age 15. It stuck, that nickname Yoshi stuck with me through high school. And then when I was 19, I was like, okay, get me off this island. I want to see the world. So I moved up to Whistler for the 1999 and 2000 season. And I worked for Whistler Mountain for a couple of seasons. And I ended up hitting it off with a Japanese ski instructor. And the next thing you know, I'm on a plane to Japan to meet her parents.
Oh my gosh.
And when I got to Japan, the name Yoshi just really stuck with me, and I even have it tattooed on my back in Japanese kanji. And just as time went on, the mostly just kind of got injected into the name. It rhymes with Yoshi, and it was mostly Yoshi is this kind of like, Yoshi is like, it means awesome in Japanese, and I'm mostly awesome and mostly loyal, mostly respectful. It's like, it's just kind of like, I'm not 100%, but I'm mostly there.
Yeah, that's great. You're like, it's just, we're keeping it real. We're not over promising and under delivering. We're just saying mostly
Yeah.
this is what you
Yeah,
can
we're
expect.
being realistic here.
I'm curious to know, okay, so we got into hip hop. How did we get into then house and drum and bass and minimal tech and all your other music tastes?
Yeah, so funny enough, like when I left the island, I was straight into hip hop. That's all I was listening to. And once I moved up to Whistler, I started meeting people from around the world, lots of people from the UK and Australia. And I was exposed to more drum and bass and more down-tempo music, more ambient type music that I'd never heard before, just really non-instrumental music that you could just vibe out to. You could sit on a beach somewhere and just let your mind go to these tracks without lyrics in them. And I started to really enjoy listening to music without lyrics and let the music do the speaking for itself rather than always having to have lyrics on a track. So going to some of the clubs in Whistler, like Max Fish, watching Matt the Alien in his early years at Max
wow.
Fish, that was very influential to my musical taste. And then I hooked up with another cat from Australia, DJ Jugular, and he brought turntables to the staff housing up in Whistler Blackcomb, and we recorded about a 5-6 track album on mini disc. So we actually recorded this album in the staff housing in Whistler Blackcomb, and it was really cool to collab with someone from the other side of the world, from the other hemisphere. And just working with him, I just kept the lyrics and music writing going. But I always had those 4 on the floor beats in my head and those dirty drum and beats in my head. And so I really explored those different genres as I was still into hip hop music. After Whistler, I lived there for 2 years. I went to Japan, and then I lived there for a year, and I taught English at Berlitz International.
Cool.
And I was a bartender on weekends at a club called Bar Isn't It, and it was it was a little gaijin club on the 5th floor in Osaka, Japan.
What does that mean, gaijin?
So a gaijin is basically a foreigner. So
right.
gaijin is foreigner in Japanese.
Yes.
So it was a club where foreigners and Japanese culture could come together and speak English and kind of interact and party together.
Cool.
And I was one of the bartenders at this bar, and I just got exposed to even more house music, lots of minimal music that I never heard of before. And that really just kept pushing me along towards my musical journey of finding out these different genres and just how deep they went.
That's sick. I love that different places in the world and meeting people just kept giving you more and more knowledge and expanding your music taste.
Then I moved back to Canada in 2004 and reconnected with my hip hop crew from Duncan, and we continued to do shows on Vancouver Island and through the Lower Mainland. And yeah, I was at it for 10 years with the 49P.
Dope. 10 years. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was one journey that I'll never forget, and lots of really, really memorable moments, and just learning how to be an artist, learning how to perform in front of people, tightening up on lyrics and writing even better ones. And it just kept evolving and evolving. But as the years progressed, that 4 on the floor beat and the different electronic sounds just kept taking my attention. And I still resonate with hip hop to this day, but electronic music has a way to tell a story that sometimes you can't get from just lyrics on a track. The music takes you, it's almost a feeling.
Yes.
that you wander through with the music going through your mind.
And so then how did we get here now?
So yeah, I lived over in Vancouver for close to 16 years, and I was selling boats at M&P Mercury, and I had a bit of a health scare in 1999, and I was in the hospital right over Christmas and into New Year's, and I had a lot of time to think. I was laying in the hospital bed, and I was thinking to myself, life is too short. I want to see more of the world, and I want to explore more of who Mostly Yoshi is and who I am as a person, and go even deeper. And I wanted to work on healing myself and just becoming a better person. So I decided to leave at the height of my career at M&P, and I sold my loft that I had in New West, and I had a plan to move to Bali, Indonesia.
Wow.
And this was in 2020, and that's when COVID started hitting really hard.
Oh,
And
man.
so as the summer started to hit, I resigned from my job and put my place up for sale. And a month before my place was closing on the deal, I saw a post that actually my homie John Z sent to me. Shout outs to John Z.
John Z.
And he sent me a post saying Indonesia has fully closed the border. Nobody is coming in. So I was standing there kind of scratching my head, like, what am I going to do? Funny enough, I was hanging out with my buddy Bruiser, and we had a really fun night out. And then we decided to get some breakfast in the morning, and we ended up at the Beaumont.
In Vancouver. Shout out.
Shout outs to Beaumont Studios. And who was playing at Beaumont Studios that sunny afternoon where we were social distancing? It was DJ Leanne. And we connected. We hit it off, started talking with each other. We knew each other from the scene, but then we really connected at that Beaumont event there. So I was in a position where I had no place to live within a month. And Leanne's business, Girl on Wax, was hit pretty hard because they had the no gathering in public places, or no gatherings inside of a building. So her business was shut right down. There was no events being able to happen. There was no weddings happening, no corporate events happening. So she was in search of a roommate, and I had no place to live. And we were really hitting it off with each other. So we decided to connect, and I moved in with her.
Amazing. Okay, and then here.
And then here. So fast forward, I decided that I'd had enough of the city. Leanne was having enough of the city. And I packed up and came over here and took a job with my friend Luke Petrak, who owns Dry Dock Marine Group here in Lake Cowichan, and he specializes in boat customization and repairs, boat storage. So I came over here to take a job as VP of Operations, and I handled all of the social media for his business for a couple of seasons. And the more I was out here, the more I was paddling, and the more I get out on my paddleboard after work. And I was just exploring this lake even more, and I just fell in love with it. And there was just something about being on the paddleboard that just resonated with me so deeply. I had boats all over Vancouver that I had access to through the dealership. I had my own boat parked in Vancouver I had that boat for 13 years. So being able to come back here and have the paddle experience, I discovered that I had an even closer connection with the water than I did in all of those years of boating. So I traded in the engine for the paddle, and it just grew on me and grew on me. So one of the afternoons after work, I went for a paddle with Leanne across the lake in Yubo, where we used to live. And I was floating on the paddleboard with Leanne. I'm like, what do you think about me starting up a paddleboard business? And it was just like, she's like, yes. Like, she was just like, there was no hesitation. She's like, yes. Like, she was just all over it. So I'm like, okay, and I've always had, aspirations to be my own boss and to run my own company. And I decided, like, yeah, maybe I can do this. So I had visions of doing paddleboard deliveries around the lake with my truck and my Tacoma. So I decided to hang up the mitts with Dry Dock Marine and everything I was doing there to become my own boss here on the lake. So I purchased about 6 paddleboards, and I was searching for a name, and I was like, oh, couldn't really figure out the name. And then one day, Leanna and I were driving, and she just said the word pristine. And the first word that comes to mind with pristine is a lake. You think of pristine lakes, clear, pure, undisturbed lakes that are just completely pure.
Yeah.
So the name resonated right away. So I was like, that's it. That's the name, Pristine Paddleboard Adventures. So we fired up the company in spring of 2023, and I approached Gordon Bay Provincial Park, and I was just approaching the park to get a permit to use the boat launch to take people out on tours. You know, that you have to get a certain license or a permit to use the government property. And they reached back to me and were like, hey, there was a guy that used to set up here on weekends and rent out paddle boards and canoes and things like that. Would you consider setting up maybe more permanently than doing your delivery service around the lake? And I was like, okay, this could be something. So I came down to the lake here and met with the park ranger, and they showed me this spot that we're sitting in right now. It used to be where the playground was here in Gordon Bay Provincial Park. And it was a perfectly flat, manicured pad with gravel. And it was perfect. I've got 3 trails that give me access down to the water. And it just made sense instantly. So I was thinking, okay, well, this is great. How can I, have paddleboards down here safely? So the shipping container came to mind. So this shipping container right here was the first one that we dropped down here in 2023, and started the business out of this one, solely doing sup rentals. And then moving into season 2, I added a little bit more. I added some snacks and some kombucha and some salmon jerky, and just a few more things that I could offer to guests here in the park. And then through those 2 years, I did have quite a few calls and requests for kayaks and canoes. Hey, do you rent kayaks or canoes? And I didn't have those tools here yet. And I'd always gravitated towards stand-up paddleboarding because of my snowboarding experience over the years. So I like standing up on a board. I don't like to sit in a canoe or in a kayak for too long. But there was enough people asking me for rentals for that I decided to bring them in. So this year we dropped another sea can here, and now we offer sup rentals, canoe rentals, kayak rentals, and even ice cream.
This is awesome. What do you feel like, becoming your first, small business owner has taught you so far?
It's taught me that there's not enough hours in the day.
Many people can probably relate to you on that.
That's definitely one thing. It's taught me to be more disciplined with my time. And it's also taught me to really critically think before making decisions. Sometimes people make decisions based on emotion and not really taking a moment to think logically about, is this the right thing to do? So it's definitely honed in on those certain skills. But it's also just opened up my heart, and it gives me such satisfaction to set up travelers from around the world with equipment to go out onto the lake and check out how beautiful Cowichan Lake is here, and all of the scenery and the nature. People travel from around the world to come to this spot to check out nature.
I want to hit you with some rapid fire questions
Yes.
that are fun.
Let's do it.
Morning paddle or midnight set?
Morning paddle.
What's one track that never leaves your USB?
LTJ Bookham Journey.
Oh, coolest place you've ever DJ'd?
Coolest place I've ever DJ'd would be down at Heritage Acres, down in Saanich. Shout outs to Footwork Entertainment. And it was an outdoor daytime event. And I got to DJ a daytime set. And it was just out on this beautiful acreage that had, funny enough, lots of antique farm equipment.
Oh.
And it was these grounds that just had a really awesome outdoor space. And Victoria has a very, very tight and welcoming music scene when it comes to drum and bass, and especially house music. The scene in Victoria is very vibrant and wholesome and loving, and being able to connect with new people down island, it's just been really, really awesome to continue DJing and to continue to write tracks and to be a part of the music scene here.
What is the coolest place you've ever performed when you were rapping and in your hip hop group?
I would say one of the coolest spots that I used to rap was, funny enough, at Bar Isn't It in Japan. I used to get up, the DJ used to throw an instrumental track up, or the instrumental for Eminem Lose Yourself.
Classic,
And
it's so hype.
there would be times where the DJ would throw that track on, and that was my cue to grab the wireless mic, get on top of the bar, and rap the song to everybody in the club. And that became a staple every Saturday night.
Oh my gosh.
DJ Sancho would throw on the track, and I would hop up on the bar.
Yeah. Everyone's like, Eminem!
With the bleached blonde dyed hair. I had it all going on back then.
Craziest request someone's thrown at you while DJing?
I don't take requests.
Dad. Look into the camera and say that one more time.
I don't take requests.
That's it. Most magical moment you've witnessed on the lake or coast with nature?
The most magical moment, I would say, was when I was a boy. My father and I went in our boat, and we went to do an overnight camp out on the boat. And we left Maple Bay and went across the water to Salt Spring Island. And we got to our spot, and we set the anchor. And Dad threw the anchor over the front of the boat, tied it off to the cleat, put it in reverse, set the anchor into the bottom. And that was right at dark. And I remember we put some microwave popcorn on and had some popcorn, and we went out on the deck. And this was during the summertime when the bioluminescence happens. And I'll never forget it. When I was a kid, my dad went to the front of the boat, and he grabbed the anchor line, and he just whipped it really, really hard, and it whipped, and you could see the whip go all the way down to the bottom, right to the anchor. And when the rope excited the water around it, you could see the light, and it would just follow the line all the way down, 40, 50 feet down to where the anchor was at the bottom.
So
And
cool.
for me as a kid, that was like, what just happened? That was amazing.
It's like real Avatar stuff,
It really is.
One essential item you never go paddling without?
My PFD, my life jacket. Yeah, always have to be safe on the water. And different paddling sessions require different equipment. If I'm just going out for a quick paddle, I'll bring my paddle, my PFD that has a whistle on it, and the bare essentials. But when I take people out on tours, I have a little bit more in my dry bag. I have a VHF radio, first aid kit, towing bridle to tow someone if I need to tow someone back, fire starting equipment, everything like that, just to keep safe on the water. So there's always different tools that you need for different applications on the water.
Dream spot anywhere in the world you'd love to host a paddleboard adventure.
French Polynesia.
Ooh. What's them waters like? Pure blue.
Absolutely pristine, tropical, on steroids. Hawaii is a very beautiful place, and it's one of the originating places of stand-up paddleboarding. French Polynesia is about 8 hours south of Hawaii, and it offers islands that are basically untouched. There's not a lot of development there, except on the big island of Tahiti. And just picturesque, tranquil waters, palm trees everywhere, and just stunning sunsets that you don't get to see everywhere in the world.
Is there a lesson from your upbringing on the water that still guides your decisions today?
I think it goes back to the respect and respect on the water, respect for the water. The water is a very powerful force of Mother Nature, and it should be respected, and it should also be protected. And having that respect for the water also translates to respect for others, and being respectful to other beings, whether it's humans or animals or our environment. I think that's the first and only word that really comes to mind when it comes to water is respect.
Dude, this has been such a great convo.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, for
Thank
your
you.
energy, your stories. It was so cool to get to know more of you. And I also didn't realize how big of a role hip hop took in your life. And that's really cool because it's a big part of my life too. So I'm very grateful for your time and for you showing us Pristine Paddleboards. How can people find out more about you, and as well as like booking some tours?
Yeah, you can reach us at pristinepaddleboard.com. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And those are the places that I mostly reside online. Or you can just come on down, walk up to the paddle pod here, and we'll get you set up with all the gear you need.
Yes. Yo, shout outs to everyone who's watched the live stream, who's tuning in for the recording after. We appreciate you. We out here in Lake Cowichan, and you've been watching Beats, Eats,
And more.
and more. Peace.